Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of war in the Promised Land. The ongoing war between the Israeli military, the State of Israel, and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And quite possibly, how we could see renewed fighting between Hezbollah and even Iran, depending on what Israel chooses to do at this point. But as we continue to analyze and watch this conflict, there have been some comments and discussions about how Hamas has received its weapon systems, some of its weapon systems at least. So obviously, a large portion of what Hamas uses comes from Iran, especially its long-range rockets. Even some of its anti-tank guided weapon systems are produced in Iran. These include reverse-engineered versions of U.S. TOWs, but also other weapon systems as well, Russian-designed weapon systems as well, such as the Kornet. Now, as we watch and we observe the Hamas light infantry, a lot of times these Hamas fighters are equipped with U.S. M4 carbines. And there's quite a bit of speculation on how Hamas received those M4 carbines. And at times you can see ACOGs and aim points on the top, and various optics on the top of those M4 carbines, or those AR variant rifles. So how did Hamas get those M4 carbines? How did Hamas obtain those rifles? Well, again, therein lies speculation. Some people are saying, well, they received them from Afghanistan and all the rifles that were left over from the Afghan National Army once the Taliban took over. That's not the case. The majority of the M4 carbines and AR variants that Hamas is using was because the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and especially the Gaza Strip, was under the control of the Palestinian Authority. To help set up the Palestinian Authority was done by the United States and Israel. Many of those rifles that you see being carried by Hamas are Israeli rifles. Again, that was when the Palestinian Authority controlled the Gaza Strip. Now, the Palestinian Authority is still in the West Bank, but many of those police units that were set up under the Palestinian Authority, in which they use those M4s and AR variant rifles, that is how Hamas obtained many of those weapon systems. Now, obviously, there are other variants. There are other M4s and AR variant rifles that are produced in other countries that are being smuggled in. Again, many of the Hamas fighters, which were former Palestinian Authority individuals, police units, became comfortable in using the M4 variant rifle. They preferred using those weapon systems. So what happened was, eventually, as they were able to obtain more weapons being smuggled in, they requested that AR variant and M4 variant rifles be smuggled in, and that's how they obtained those rifles. Now, is it possible that that some of those weapon systems could be from the Afghan National Army? Yeah, it's possible, absolutely. But the initial cause of Hamas receiving those M4 carbines and AR variants was the setup of the old Palestinian Authority, in which the Israelis and the U.S. assisted. And then eventually, again, Hamas took that over and turned those rifles on the Israeli military, as we're seeing now, which is taking place. Additionally, we are seeing the additional call-up of Israeli reserves. Now we are hearing that the Israeli military will be expanding, I don't want to say expanding, will be calling up 350,000 reserves. Just yesterday we were talking about 300,000. Now we're talking in the sum of 350,000. So the majority of readily available fighting age males that have gone through Israeli military training, that have served in the IDF prior, are being recalled to active service. We think initially that as Israel is doing right now, the first goal is to seal off the border with Gaza. They are going to also as well divert large sums of forces to the West Bank, and then obviously deploy large sums of forces both to the borders of Lebanon and the Golan Heights near Syria as well. So it's all about controlling borders, controlling the ability of Hezbollah, Hamas, and any other Syrian organization that could infiltrate forces into Israel. This is Israel's first goal right now, is to, call up these reserves and then deploy these reserves to shut down any possible routes into Israel proper, where we do not see the same thing that just recently occurred, in which light infantry on motorcycles and three-wheel vehicles were able to get inside the country and then just start killing civilians and attacking isolated military sites. And that is what is going to happen. Now, phase 2, in terms of what the Israeli plan is obviously going to be an all-out ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Look, the Israelis are controlling the tempo. They're controlling the clock right now. They're going to continue with airstrikes. They're going to seal off the border, and then they're going to launch the largest and most massive invasion that the Gaza Strip has ever seen. They will probably fully reoccupy the Gaza Strip. After that occurs, then we may see the Israelis set their sights on Hezbollah. I think ultimately the goal of the Israeli military will be the elimination first of Hamas, which is absolutely going to happen, and then the secondary goal that is in the planning phase right now is the elimination of Hezbollah and Iranian influence in Lebanon. That will be probably phase 3. So that is where we sit. Obviously, the fighting will get very heavy as Israeli units move into the Gaza Strip. But the Israeli military is going to do this very slowly. They're going to do it very methodically. They are going to use overwhelming air power to rubbleize areas, to destroy what they can, with everything from small diameter bombs to 2,000-pound Spice and Popeye laser guided bombs and what have you, U.S. JDAMs. Everything is going to be deployed in this war. Rampage missiles, everything. The full weight of the Israeli military is going to, or is being used to destroy the Hamas organization. And make no mistake of it, Hamas, as I've talked about in prior videos, has killed itself. It is going to cease to exist as an organization, most likely within the next year, if not much sooner. We are starting to see signs that elements inside the political body of Hamas is wanting to talk, because they fully realize now the strategic mistake that was made by attacking Israeli civilians the way they did. Even Iran is attempting to distance itself in terms of taking credit for assisting the Hamas organization in launching these attacks, because again, the Iranians know that if push comes to shove, the Israelis will attack Tehran. and they will attack Tehran with overwhelming force. And there's not a lot the Iranians can do to prevent that from happening. Now, look, I'm going to get some pushback on that in terms of individuals believing that the Iranians have this military that is capable of withstanding the full weight of the Israeli military, and that's just not the case. It's a dream. Is the Iranian military powerful in terms of localized ability near its borders? Yes, it is. It can call upon large sums of fairly adequately trained troops and manpower. But at the end of the day, the technology that exists in Israel with these Israeli weapons contracting corporations, be it Elbit Systems or what have you, again, you're talking, they are in a league of its own when you compare and contrast to what the Iranians are capable of fielding. And obviously the Israelis also have the full support from the United States as well in terms of some weapons manufacturing as well. But again, not going to hash into too much of that on this video. Maybe we'll look at that and compare and contrast the two militaries, Iran and Israel, in another video. But right now, we will continue to watch what is happening on the Gaza Strip as the Israelis prepare for what will be an overwhelming invasion and the destruction of Hamas. More to come. As always, have a good day.